You've been accused of being a war criminal. If you went to go to several countries in Europe, you're going to get arrested.
You bombed the living daylights out of German cities and out of French cities that were in your way and so on. We didn't do that. When you have pro-Israel demonstrations, they wave Israeli flags, they wave American flags, they wave British flags. These people are against you, whether you recognize it or not. And we lost a lot of soldiers because we didn't carpet bomb. If Britain was invaded, you had on one day about 8,000 Brits murdered, mutilated, and kidnapped, and they came right next to London. What would you do? I don't hold Churchill or the British government or the British people who supported him responsible for saying you shouldn't act that way.
What is up, everybody? Harry here. This is Benjamin Netanyahu being interviewed by the economists Zanny, Minton Beddoes, and Edward Carr, covering the war in Gaza, Israel's international standing, and combatant casualty ratios. This is about as sensitive and high stakes as interviews get. Real ICC arrest warrants, disputed casualty figures, and a lot of specific claims layered on top by the narration afterward, including some I haven't been able to independently verify. I'll be precise about what's actually confirmed versus what's asserted without a clear source. Let's get into it. Get subscribed if that's useful to you.
There is a huge battle today between the forces of civilization, the forces of modernity, and the very fanatic forces who want to take us back to the early Middle Ages, and do so with a violence that is unimaginable. You've seen these pictures of people cutting open the chest of an enemy, these Islamists, tearing out the heart. The person is still alive and eating the heart. That tells you something. Now, that mentality, that fanaticism has to be confronted. It will move and invade your countries, and it will destroy them. Israel is not just fighting our battle, it's fighting the battle against radical Islam that threatens the future of the world. And I think many people thought communism would threaten the world, or China would threaten the world. I'm saying that this untethered force of an extremist ideology that knows no limits, if it has nuclear weapons, the ballistic missiles to deliver them, and the masses that will destroy democracies, burn Christians.
Prime Minister,
we're committed to defending Christians around the world and in the Middle East. If they win the day, we all lose. Israel is defending itself, but in so doing, we're defending Western civilization.
Prime Minister, that is one way of viewing the world, and I have some sympathy with some of what you've said. Let me give you another way, which is that many people around the world see the state of Israel as a country that is exclusively using military force, that has killed 70,000 people in Gaza, that is doing nothing to create a sustainable future for people there. That is a country, you've been accused of being a war criminal. That if you went to go to several countries in Europe, you're going to get arrested. This is not just mad campus radicalism. This is a feeling around the world. You said it yourself to us just now. In public opinion around the world, Israel is doing very poorly. And it's doing very poorly because people see a country that is behaving in a way that is not compatible with being a liberal democracy. And therefore, I think you have a problem. I think that loss of public opinion, what struck me from your autobiography was how subtly and for how long you have understood this. You know that political power comes from public opinion, and you know that you need to win the battle of public opinion, and you're losing it. You've absolutely lost it in Europe, but much more worryingly for you, you're losing it in America. And I think that what you've just told me about fanaticism is true in part, but it is not going to shape public opinion. People are going to roll their eyes and say, he's saying that anybody who says anything critical about Israel is anti-Semitic. He's giving this large, this story about fanaticism, and he's not accepting the fact that Israel is behaving in a way that we think is incompatible with the kind of liberal democracy that he claims.
Well, the liberal democracies that fought the battles from World War II to Afghanistan to Iraq and so on, the ratio of combatants to non-combatants killed was 6-1, 7-1. And in Gaza, because Hamas was forcing people to stay in urban areas at gunpoint, the ratio is about 1.5 to 1. And we lost a lot of soldiers because we didn't carpet bomb. We
That
didn't
isn't
do it.
disputed, Prime Minister.
We didn't do.
People have different ratios as well,
I'm
including
telling
Nigeria.
you, you don't actually, but that's not the point. It certainly wasn't 6-1 or 7-1, and we certainly didn't carpet bomb, which we could have done right away. We've lost a lot of people by my refusal and the IDF's own mores in making sure that doesn't happen. Now, if you have the densest urban warfare theater in history, with 500 kilometers of terror tunnels underneath, 50 meters below, 50 meters above, everything booby-trapped, and you don't come in and just bomb the place to smithereens, which we didn't. I mean, we had everything booby-trapped. We moved the population out, and then you have to fight the Hamas in there. The ratios in Mosul, the ratios in Fallujah, the ratios elsewhere, there's nothing comparison, and that was nothing compared to what our soldiers, our brave soldiers, had to face in Gaza. So, I dispute the fact. The argument that you put forward is being put forward. It doesn't make it true. What is true is that Israel is fighting these worst killers, these people who took not only beheaded our men, raped our women, and then murdered them, burned our babies alive, and took 255 hostages, which we took out. Nobody believed that we got them out. These are barbarians, and they're given a free load. I have demonstrations on behalf of Hamas. Notice that they're burning the flag of Israel and the flag of the UK, the flag of Israel and the flag of America. When you have pro-Israel demonstrations, they wave Israeli flags, they wave American flags, they wave British flags. These people are against you, whether you recognize it or not. They will sweep away your societies, your freedoms, your ideas, the values that we cherish, exactly
Prime
as you
Minister,
do.
it really isn't just extreme radicals. There are
I didn't say that,
huge
though.
numbers of people who are concerned about Israel's behavior, frankly, including people like me.
Well, you
Friends
know,
of
I think,
Israel who
I
are
think that if
concerned-
Britain was invaded, forgive me, you know, if Britain was invaded and you had the equivalent, in Britain, your population is what, 65 million, something like that, 60 million, right? So you're about 6 times our size. So if you had, on one day, about 8,000 Brits murdered, mutilated, raped, and kidnapped, and they came right next to London, what would you do? We know what you did. We know exactly what Britain did, and I don't hold Churchill or the British government or the British people who supported him responsible for saying you shouldn't act that way. You bombed the living daylights out of German cities and out of French cities that were in your way and so on. We didn't do that. We went in with ground forces. We didn't carpet bomb our way in there because otherwise nothing would be there in Gaza.
Watch the ICC exchange closely, because it's the one part of this interview resting on a fully verifiable fact rather than dueling interpretations. The International Criminal Court did issue an arrest warrant for Netanyahu in November 2024, and it remains active. It's worth being precise about what that warrant actually says, because the exact wording matters here. The ICC's pre-trial chamber found reasonable grounds to believe Netanyahu bears criminal responsibility for a specific war, crimes and crimes against humanity, including starvation, as a method of warfare. That's a formal legal threshold for issuing a warrant and proceeding toward possible trial. Not a conviction or a final finding of guilt, and Israel has formally rejected the court's jurisdiction and disputed the charges entirely. Both of those things are simultaneously true and worth holding together. A real active warrant exists from a real international court, and the underlying allegations remain legally unresolved and are contested by the accused government. The combatant to civilian casualty ratio dispute is worth treating as a genuine, unresolved evidentiary disagreement, rather than something either side has definitively settled here. Netanyahu cites a ratio around 1.5 to 1. Various other assessments, including analyses that draw on Gaza Health Ministry figures, produce different numbers. Casualty classification in an active urban conflict is genuinely difficult to verify independently in real time, particularly distinguishing combatants from civilians. And that difficulty is a real methodological problem, not evidence that either side is lying. Minton Beddoes correctly notes the ratio is disputed rather than accepting Netanyahu's figure outright, which is the right instinct given how contested this specific number is. The Churchill and Butz comparison Netanyahu offers is worth noting as his own chosen historical analogy, not something either interviewer introduces, and it functions the way most such comparisons do in political argument, is rhetorically powerful precisely because it invokes a widely agreed upon moral reference point, while the actual scale, context, and proportionality questions of the current conflict remain the specific, harder things being debated, which the analogy doesn't resolve on its own. The most specific claims in the closing narration, the reported Trump-Netanyahu phone call, quote, the exact AI-packed spending figures in the Illinois primary, and the precise military aid total over 2 years are the kind of claims that would need direct, checkable sourcing to verify independently, and I haven't been able to confirm them with confidence. That doesn't mean they're false, but presented with this much specificity, they deserve the same scrutiny as any other precise factual claim before being treated as settled, especially layered onto a topic already this contested. It's worth naming plainly what the closing narration does that goes beyond the interview itself. It moves from a real, reported detail that Netanyahu's international standing has become a genuine political liability into a much larger claim about a coordinated system of campaign finance controlling foreign policy outcomes. Some elements of that broader argument, lobbying spending in specific races, for instance, are publicly disclosed and checkable in principle, but stitching individual disclosed donations into a claim about buying unquestioning loyalty from an entire branch of government is an interpretive argument about motive and causation, not a fact established by the disclosure itself, and it's worth treating that distinction carefully, regardless of which side of this debate you land on. If breakdowns like this are useful to you, get subscribed to Harry Unfiltered, and I'll keep checking the specifics as carefully as this deserves, one interview at a time.